Welcome to From the Den podcast, providing Bears and NFL fans alike with compelling news, discussion, and debate. I'm your co-host Benjamin, joined alongside my dear friend and co-host Oren.
Hey Benjamin, let's get right into it. As always, kickoff starts now.
In round 5, pick 155, the Bears selected Trevis Gipson, an outside linebacker out of Tulsa. I don't really like this pick. I don't understand why they needed to take a linebacker this early in the draft, or I guess this early for the Bears. I'm going to give this a C+. I think, first of all, Trevis Gipson could have gone a lot later in the draft. I don't understand why they needed to take a talent like at this caliber so early. And second of all, this is really not one of their highest necessities. I could name four more positions more important than the linebacker: safety, cornerback, tight end, and offensive line. So I really don't understand why they needed to take Trevis Gipson, who, first of all, I don't really like that much as a talented player, and second of all, I don't think his position is one that the Bears need the most, and that's why I'm giving this a C+.
Yeah, so I actually am going to give this a B+ because I agree, and I wouldn't give this a higher grade because I think that they do need an offensive lineman more than an outside linebacker or defensive end, because if you look at it, they have Akeem Hicks, Roy Robertson Harris, Bilal Nichols. All those are a rotation of defensive linemen. Outside linebackers, I think they have the best in the NFL with Khalil Mack and Robert Quinn.
Mm-hmm.
But what's great about this pick is that this offseason they didn't re-sign Aaron Lynch, and I liked Aaron Lynch in 2018. 2019 he had a bit of a drop-off year, but I still think that having a backup outside linebacker who's strong will make it so much easier for Khalil Mack and Robert Quinn, because those few plays that they don't play in, they really are able to catch their breath. That means they can really take advantage of the opportunity that they're going to use, opportunity to do well in the plays that they play in, which means I think that what's good about Trevis Gipson, it's not necessarily good for the Bears right now. He's a very raw player. He has a lot of good skills. He has a lot of good technique, but he hasn't all put it together. And that's what makes me, I guess you could say it's a negative, because the Bears outside linebackers they're kind of in a win now situation, and they don't really want someone who's not going to be able to produce right away. But I think Trevis Gipson, he has all the tools, and if he is coached well, which I believe he should be, I think he could end up being a pretty solid rotation player for the Bears. And hopefully, I really hope this year, but maybe in a few years, he'll be able to come in for Khalil Mack and Robert Quinn and play 5 or 4 snaps a game, just give them a breather, really allow them to maximize their potential for the plays that they're in. On to round 5, pick 133, which is actually the only pick that the Bears actually had in the 5th round, which is ironic because they ended up picking 3 players in the 5th round. But for this pick, they picked Kindle Vildor, cornerback out of Georgia Southern. And I have to give this pick a B, because I think that what's good about this pick is I really like his potential. I think that when he played against Clemson, he really, really, really showed out that he was a good player. And he played well against really good talent, which is a very good sign that he's ready for the NFL. But he has solid size. He's 5'11", 190 pounds. But my only real concern about this pick is that I'm not sure that he'll have impact to begin the year. And I think he'll start off as more of a special teamer. And I think that when you look at it, the Bears don't really need cornerback that much. And I get that he can play slot, or he can play cornerback too, or he can play slot, which is good to have competition between him and Duke Shelley for the backup slot position. But I agree with you, and I'm not sure that. Well, I agree with myself, and I'm not sure that there were positions. I think that there were positions that were more needed than cornerback, especially considering they already picked one. And that's the reason why I give it a B, because I like the player, but I'm not sure that the pick was right, and I'm not sure that they needed to fill in that need. They need to fill that need, especially considering their other needs.
I agree with you that I think that they could have filled in other needs aside from cornerback, but I don't even like the player that much, and that's why I'm giving this pick a C. Because first of all, as for player talent, I think there are more talented cornerbacks on the board still, and they could have gotten better value, so that fills out the value also. And as for if it filled in the Bears' needs, I think they could have taken a safety or a lineman before they took a second cornerback. Even before they took the first cornerback, while I did like the pick of Jalen Johnson, they could have focused on picks that they needed more. So in taking a second cornerback instead of an offensive lineman, I don't really understand why they did that. And for that reason, I'm giving it a C.
Okay.
Now,
So,
moving on to Darnell Mooney
mhm.
with in round 5, pick 173, a wide receiver out of Tulane. I don't really like this pick either. I'm going to give it a C plus. I think you're going to have a differing opinion with me here, but I don't really think that wide receiver was a position that the Bears needed to focus on, just because the wide receivers that the Bears have picked previously in drafts have not panned out very well. Off the top of my head, the last two that they've taken have been Kevin White, Anthony Miller, Javon Wims, and Riley Ridley. And while the ones that aren't Kevin White still have a lot of time to improve, they really haven't done anything exceptional in the years that they have been on the team. So basically, I don't really trust the Bears' ability to take wide receivers, and I think instead they could have focused on taking a guard or a tackle, like I said with Kindle Vildor. As for the player himself, I think he's pretty talented. He's fine. Could have been taken a little bit lower. Um, and yeah, that's why I'm not too hot on this pick.
So I actually disagree with you. I think that I'm going to give this a B plus, and I think that that Darnell Mooney is a good player. He's very, very fast. Ran a 4.38 40-yard dash, which is a very, very fast 40-yard dash. He's a bit undersized and he's very skinny. He's 5'10" and 176 pounds. He's a great, great route runner, which adds to his speed. And I get that you're saying that they don't need a wide receiver that much and you don't trust their drafting, but I wouldn't stop drafting a position if I were the Bears and I said, oh, I'm not amazing at drafting wide receiver. It doesn't necessarily mean I shouldn't draft them.
Well, something I forgot to mention is the Bears have been pretty good or fine at bringing in wide receivers. If you look at the Bears' top two wide receivers last year, I would say they were probably the top two. Allen Robinson and Taylor Gabriel, they were both brought in from other teams. So I'm saying the Bears, of course, they should try to get good wide receivers, but they should focus on drafting different positions in the draft and then acquiring wide receivers by other means, because I do not trust their ability to draft wide receivers as much as I do other positions.
So what I will say is that the reason I think that this Darnell Mooney pick is great is because they need a wide receiver. It's not dire because their wide receiver three, they could have a good rotation
Well,
of.
also just something that bugs me, I think you would say the need for a guard or a lineman is much more dire than taking a wide receiver. So why couldn't they take a wide receiver maybe in the 7th round and first just focus on taking a guard?
Because I think that this wide receiver is a really, really, he's a special talent. You don't find players with 4.38 speed and his route running like him. And I think that he has all of the tools to be a good receiver. He's just a bit skinny. And I think if I would have to compare him to anyone, I would compare him to Trevis Benjamin. I think he's a speed, he's someone who uses his speed to his advantage, but won't be able to be a wide receiver one. But the reason why I like this pick so much is you could say that they'll have a rotation of Javon Wims and Riley Ridley for wide receiver two. But my only thing to say about that is that which one's the speed receiver? They don't have Allen Robinson's not a speed receiver. Anthony Miller's not. Javon Wims isn't. Riley Ridley isn't. And you need a speed receiver to be able to take the top off of a defense. And Darnell Mooney does that.
Okay,
Him,
that's fair. It's making me reconsider a little, but I still stand by I don't really trust the Bears to take wide receivers.
the Bears the Bears didn't necessarily need a wide receiver that much, but they needed a wide receiver, a speedy wide receiver. That's why people were thinking maybe KJ Hamler could go to the Bears at pick 20 and pick like 43 or 50. He
Mhm.
ended up going, I think, a bit earlier, but I think that what I would say is that the Bears do need a speedy wide receiver, and I get Darnell Mooney. I think he is good. I don't think he's obviously a 2nd-round pick like KJ Hamler. I think that they might have got him. I think he was like a 4th or 5th-round talent. But what I think is so great about him is that he fits what the Bears need. That's why I give it a B plus.
Got it.
For the 5th-round picks, who do you think is going to have the biggest impact on this team out of those picks?
Well, I'm really contradicting everything I've said earlier, but I gotta go to Darnell Mooney just because when I'm looking at all the other players, I can't see any of them having such a big impact aside from Darnell Mooney. I think Darnell Mooney has easily the highest ceiling, a way higher ceiling than all of those other players. Darnell Mooney at his best could be such a speedster and have such a big impact on this Bears offense, where I think I look at all the other picks that could just be big impacts. But I think Darnell Mooney could become a big name for the Bears, while all the other picks in the 5th and 7th round would just become good players, impactful players, but they're never going to have the spotlight. That's why I see Darnell Mooney as the potentially most impactful.
So again, while I do agree with your point, I think Trevis Gipson's going to end up being the most impactful. And I think that for his first few years, obviously he's not going to be great because he's going to be behind Khalil Mack and Robert Quinn. It's really, really, really hard to be better than them. That's a very, very hard thing to do. But what I will say is I think after year 3 with Robert Quinn, they're going to end up releasing him, not because his play is necessarily going to be bad, but because all of his money that would be guaranteed will be gone by then. So then their cap hit will be a lot smaller, which means that they'll be able to save a lot more money by releasing him. And by the time it'll be the end of his 3rd year, he'll already be around 33 years old. And I think right then is when Trevis Gipson will step in. Like Jordan Love for Aaron Rodgers, he'll be able to learn behind Khalil Mack and Robert Quinn, be able to absorb all of their information. And also, he's more of a developmental player. So while he's developing and while he's becoming a better learn and understand from Khalil Mack and Robert Quinn how to really excel at that position. And once Robert Quinn's gone, I think you'll be able to step in and take over the position of outside linebacker for Robert Quinn.
If you enjoyed this episode of From the Den, please remember to subscribe, comment, and like this video.
Or if you're a Packers fan, remember to dislike and leave a nasty comment. Click the links on the screen to access additional content.